on YouTube, and soon, let's see, then we'll open the Chumash, the first of the Chamesh. So, here it is. All right. So, finally, at the end of last week's Parsha, everybody makes up, and Jacob comes to Egypt in royal fashion, and now it skips 17 years later, and 17 is the Gematria Tov, and these are the 17 good years of his life after a life of ups and downs, and I guess he had some very, very highlights. I mean, the visions, and in every case, he really had a challenge in life.
If he didn't have highlights, then the Torah wouldn't say VaYechi-Yaakov. Why would it say VaYechi-Yaakov and he's dying? Because only somebody who really lived life, so many lives in one, could be said of him that he lived.
Huh.
At his death.
Yeah, nice. And so, and then it says, 147 years altogether, and his days came to close to death. And in terms of how, also, because it's also amazing when I was thinking of good, in terms of the Egyptians mourned him for, was it 40 days, 70 days? It's going to say it, I think, once he passes away. So he blesses Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph, and all that, and then finally, it's really comes to the very end, and he calls everybody to his bedside.
Can I just mention, is this the first time that somebody in the Torah is mentioned as being ill? It says he was chole. I think it is.
Because it also gave time for him to do this, because he knew his time was, it was like a warning, and it made, perhaps.
It's the first time I think the chole is mentioned, isn't it? I think.
No. But and also it's here where the Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov trilogy is brought into once he passes away, it becomes Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Avinu, and then
he was quite a few years younger than his father and grandfather, so maybe we don't hear that Abraham and Yitzchak were ill. They just died of very old age, and it looks like maybe it was shortened by this illness.
Okay,
just a thought.
But here, so he calls them together. He'asfu va'agida lachem et asher yikra etchem ba'acharit hayamim. Gather together, and I will tell you what will happen to you, with you, in the Acharit Hayamim is in the end of days, in the end days. And Hikaptsu v'shim'u b'nei Israel. It's an interesting, it's like he says this. Hikaptsu v'shim'u b'nei Israel v'shim'u el Israel avichem. He is calling himself them, the children of Yaakov, and he's Israel, their Abba. And then what is noticed is, Shalom Uvracha. What is noticed is that he doesn't relate to Acharit Hayamim anymore. He speaks about each of the 12 sons in particular ways and tells them about themselves, but he doesn't. And Rashi points out, I don't have the Rashi in front of me, but it's a very simple Rashi, that he wanted to tell them the kates, the end, what will be at the end. And he couldn't because the Shekhinah departed from him at that moment, and he spoke of these other things. So the bridge to Torah Rav Kook is that Rav Kook did speak about Acharit Hayamim. He has a number of places where he speaks about Acharit Hayamim, and his entire Torah is for Acharit Yamim and so forth. But there's a few places where he speaks about it quite. Well, let's see. Let's enter some. But I wanted to offer this. That's why I entitled this. These are the things Jacob didn't tell us about Acharit Hayamim, but Rav Kook is now telling us. And the first one, and there can be many, I could choose from many, so I'm summarizing a few, but here it is in, for example, this he wrote in 1910 in Notebook 10, and he said like this, and I'm just going to, Seder HaGeula, and Acharit Hayamim, when you look in the sources, Rav Kook on Acharit Hayamim, they say, look at his teachings on Geula. Geula is the experience of the liberation, the redemption that enters, is the Acharit Hayamim, once we have Geula. And he says here that the Seder HaGeula, the order, the structure of the Geula, the Tchiyat HaUmah be'eretz Yisrael, and the revival of the people in the land of Israel, tzarich lalechet al pi sidrei hanevuah. It has a structure, an order where it was it Jeremiah that said, I will seed the house of Israel and the house of Judah, the seed of the human and the seed of the animal. And that's what it says in the prophecy. And then Gemara says, what is teaching us that the seed of the human will be individual and the seed of the animal will be individual in the redemption. This is all part of the seeding of the redemption. And then Rav Kook explains by the meaning of animal, human and animal in this case is that what's happening is for us to bring about the final thing, shleimut atzura muchachat lihibarer. We have to create a complete nation. It has to be shalem. And so those people that are tending to practical construction, to populating the land, to eagerly anticipating setting up a government, they have to do all this with all the strength required in order to do this. And then those people, and he's speaking it within Israel, those people that are dedicated to the building and all that level, they should go forth and do it completely. And those people who are on the spiritual level and they want to revive the spirit and bring the soul back to the joy, and they want to communicate and radiate the supernal light of Hashem to the people of Israel and into the world, they also need to do this completely, fully. We have to put both those energies. So the energy of the animal, so to speak, is the one that does everything in the physical world to ensure the thriving, the return and the thriving of Israel, the people of Israel in the land of Israel, and the spiritual, Rav Kook being the primary model of wanting to bring in the supernal divine light to the entire nation and to the whole world. And it's when we can fully realize these two energies and join them together into an organic national body that or chaye neshama kedusha kebirat koach zoreach alea, in which the light of the life of the Holy Soul powerfully shines upon it. And this is what Acharit HaYamim looks like when that happens. And then it's here that he says, in exile, in our past, we couldn't bring about the merging of both of these energies because the Midrash says about Israel that they were trembling at the sound of a rustling leaf. So it's really fearful. And they had no prophecy, and Ruach HaKodesh wasn't with them. And all that was left were little sparks of the power of holiness. It was like a dimly growing coal. That was what that was what was in exile. But here's where he says in 1910, Ke'et, that was then. But right now, Kvar Hekitz Haketz. The end has awakened. The end is beginning. That end which Jacob wanted to reveal, describe to the children of Israel, well, it's now happening. Bi'at Shlishit Huchala. The third coming, the third Beit HaMikdash is beginning.
This is in contradiction to how most of the Orthodox world saw it, wasn't it?
Well, except, big time. I mean, all those, yes, of course. But there was a very strong, there were the Zionists, there was a lot of deep, Rabbi Reines I was reading about today, and there's earlier rabbis before Rav Kook that were all in that headspace before, but all those that weren't was a majority, and they weren't.
What other rabbis were there that of note?
Well, Rabbi Reines, he set up Mizrahi. Mizrahi was set up like in 1890 or something.
Right. Mohilever had been advocating.
That's another name, yeah. And and the whole Vilna Gaon world was ultimately in that. But I guess most of the Hasidic rabbis, and but here he's saying we have to understand now we're in that thing. And then in a letter in 1918, at the end of, he was from London, he wrote to one of his students, Moshe Zaidel. He's also a big person in bringing religious Zionism out. And in that letter, he says to him, I'll make it bigger. Ken, yes. Hatchalat geula vadai holechet umofia lefanenu. the beginning of Geula is certainly moving forth, manifesting before us. It actually, me'et asher harei Israel hechlu la'asot anafim. He says it didn't just start now. It's from the point in which the mountains of Israel began to grow branches and trees, ve'la'aset free la'am Israel, and to bear fruit. And this is the first settlers. I mean, we're in Sfat when they started. They must have seeded trees there, and you know, because Isaac Luria, they were all coming with this headspace that this is they're beginning it. And he says that's it, from the first replanting of a new tree from that moment. And the trees are bearing fruit to the nation of Israel, asher karvu lavo, that are approaching, coming to the land of Israel. That point, hitchila hatchala zu. That's when this beginning of Geula began. So now we're in 1918. We're quite a ways into the process. And then he says about that process, Ki Yad Hashem, because the hand of God, Hanoheget Gal Mesibot Dorim, that is directing waves of reasons and causes, bringing about all sorts of causations. The hand of God, Tafli Plaotea, it's going to do the most wondrousness. It's going to make extraordinary wonders of its wonders. Lehavi et hatchala hazot, to bring this beginning, le ma'ala yoter romema, to an even higher level. Ve'hapela azeh kam ve'yareh be'yameinu le'einenu. And this wonder is now manifesting in our days before our eyes. This is what we're seeing right in front of us. The hand of God doing the wonders to bring forward this beginning, this humble beginning. And if I look around Israel now, it's like, it's, you know, beyond extraordinary. And he wrote in 1918. And he was also referring, you know, the hand of God, World War I. Suddenly the Ottoman Empire loses control and all that. And then he goes on and he says that in Notebook 1 in 1910, that, and this I want to dedicate because what happens in our Parsha is Zchut Avot is put into place. The merit of our Avot, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, is now put into place. And a lot of things happen in history, B'zchut Avot, in order to fulfill the covenant with the Avot that everything is based on. So that's put into place in this week's Parsha. It's finally brought to its completion. And in many ways, the whole book of Breshit is about the history of, you know, Avot ve'Imaot Israel. And the creation of the world and the history, the bringing about of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. And we are the inheritors of that whole historic, extraordinary event. And in Notebook 1, he says that we need to understand Nitzotz echad mi'or chayei ha'avot. One little spark from the light, from the life of our avot, of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, kedushatam, from their holiness, v'gvurat Elohim ha'elyona shebegadlutam, and the holiness, the powerful, elevated power of Elohim that is part of their greatness. Ha'holech ve'or behacharit hayamim. It is now moving forth and illuminating be'acharit hayamim. And in our days now, this is what is the spark from Chayei Avot is now being inflamed into a light in order lahashiv letchiyat olamim et Israel, in order to restore to eternal life Israel, ve'imo yachad, and together with Israel, et ha'olam kulo, the entire world. Al pi seder v'hadraga, there's a gradual process here. When you read analyses of what Rav Kook says about Geulah and all that, he says, well, it's a gradual process. There is a process, a step-by-step process that we're witnessing. And then a little while later in the same piece, he says, Chisku, al tira'u, be strong, do not be afraid. Or Mashiach mitnotzetz. The light of Mashiach is now currently sparkling. Geulat olamim mofia mikol acharachim. Eternal liberation is manifesting from all the cracks. I get the word charachim is the same consonant as the word crack. CRC, crevice in some translations. But from all these cracks as the world, because he says, don't be afraid. It looks like the world, he wrote this in 1916. World War I was happening all around. Don't be afraid. The light of Mashiach is sparkling. The liberation of the world is manifesting from all the cracks. Michoshech harish'ah, from the dark evil, the hakfira hamenuvelet, and the disgusting, horrible disbelief and habizuya vechadlat ishim, this kfira which really it weakens people. This horrible kfira is a denial of divinity that is just weakening humankind. From this darkness and state of denial of divinity, from that very same darkness, from within that, bo yavo or elyon, there is going to come an elevated light. Asher ya'amid bemerchav raglei Israel, that will be established in the expanses, in the feet of Israel. The feet of Israel are going to bring this about. Ve'yeromem b'kvod keren am yodei Elohav, and it'll be elevated in the honor of the crown of the nation that knows its God. And from there, Ya'ir Or, light will be illuminated, Al Kol Mechashchim, on all the darknesses. ויעודד קדישי עליונים בישועה אמת, ישועת אמת. And this ore, this light, and all the darknesses will come to all the darknesses, and that light will support and encourage the holy, elevated ones with true Yeshua. Then we'll truly experience Yeshua and Geula. And he says, don't be afraid. We see the world is breaking apart, but we know that what's happening, the story is that the Or Chaye Avot, the light from our ancestors, from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, and all the promises and the covenants that Sefer Breshit explicates in detail, that is now all manifesting in Acharit Hayamim. And that manifestation is going to bring the renewal of Israel, and with Israel, the entire world, as we go through the process of evil is going to attack us, so we have to destroy evil. And that's been, the Jewish story of the 20th century and the 21st century. But that's the process. But but God is our ally with that. And that when we do that, we'll really bring the entire world to Tchiyat Alamim. And he says, don't be afraid. Understand that in everything that's happening, it's the light of Mashiach coming through and bringing about Geula through all the cracks and breakages, and the transformation from the dark, evil denial of divinity will come to a experience of a elevated light that will really establish Israel and raise the crown of the nation who knows Elohim, and from that will illuminate life to all the darknesses, and will support all the Kadishim Elyonim, all the elevated holy people on planet Earth, Yeshuat Emet, with true Yeshua. And it'll be a huge blessing into the world, and may we succeed to do it. Because Rav Kook here is describing this is now beginning around this time. It's like picking up in this time period, and we're now in the later stage, and it's extraordinary what's going on. But may we be blessed to really bring this to its complete shlemut, fulfillment. Bimhera b'yameinu v'nomar.
Amen.
All right. So now I wanted to go to another source, and this one is hard to find. It's from a very interesting book that was put out. It's called Chazon HaGeula, the Vision of the Geula. Yeah, and it was first put out in 1941 by one of the first books of Rav Kook that they put together, and it's and also and what we read earlier about that the beginning of Geula certainly appearing in the hand of God. That's also from this source. But within this source, there's an essay that's called Ha-Nitzotzot HaRishonim, the first sparks. And he's speaking historically. We're going to skip, but I just want to read a few lines to give you a sense of what of what this essay is about. It's a fascinating essay. Kocha shel Knesset Yisrael, the power of the community of Israel. Mima'amakim hu holech, it is coming forth from the depths, umitgale, and is being revealed beklalut hatnu'ah, in all the movement, hamepa'emet benishmat ha'umah, that is pulsating in the soul of the nation. Machriach ota, and it forces, it brings the Knesset Yisrael be'ota hatkufa shekvar ba'a ha'et. In that same time that is, I think he's saying that it came, shel haketza meguleh, the time has come for the revealed end, leharot b'chaim, to demonstrate itself in life, behashavat tochen chayeya haklaliyim, in the restoration of its general overall life of Israel, limchon beit chayeya, to establish its house of its life, la'admata kodesh ve'lebinyana, to the holy land and to the building of it. And so that's what he's saying. We're now experiencing these sparks coming out that are bringing it forth to bring forth the revealed end. And he goes into the history of the earlier part, the Second Temple, when we move towards this. And then it goes on. Now let's read from here. Betkufatenu, in our time, and now he's talking about early 20th century. מאותו הזמן שהצד המעשי של בניין ארץ החל להתגשם, from that same time, when the physical land, the practical aspect of the land of Israel began to manifest, holechu ha'or hazeh, this light is moving forward, v'sholechet nitzotzav el nefashot rabot, and it's sending its sparks to many souls. Many of those souls that were far from the inner flow of Israel, and yet it's manifesting through them, through all these people that are not inwardly connected to the Torah and all that, through their hands is manifesting Chazon Kodesh Kodashim, the vision of the Holy of Holies, she'ein aroch lekdushato, that there's no measuring the holiness. This is the foundation of the building of the land and the return of the children to their borders in now a limited beginning form. Right? The British were letting how many in and how many in. And but let's start the next page and see where, yeah. I was going to read less of this, but now that I'm looking at the whole document, it's worth this part as well, because it says now that this spark that is starting to move forward, that it needs to get strengthened. It says in the past it went to a certain point in history with King Cyrus, going back in history with Ezra and Nehemiah, and they tried to keep it going, and then it went down. So he was doing a historical sort of overview. And now he gets to our time. בחזון המורגש, with this experience, this vision that we're experiencing, אשר אנו רואים לעינינו בימינו, that we are now seeing in our own eyes, in our own time, אחרי אשר מדורות קדומים, after all the prior stuff, אחרי שממותה הגמורה של ארץ ישראל, after the complete desolation that land of Israel experienced, now is beginning, הוחל האור להתגלות, the light is starting to revealed, בצורה זעירה, in a small form, and I'm skipping here, but it's starting to reveal itself, lenefashot kedoshot, to the holy souls, adirei emunah, the powerful ones of emunah, the chasinei koach Hashem, and the ones who are holding the power of God, godly power. He's talking about his own experience. This is starting to be revealed to him. And as these first establishers are establishing, it's going to get stronger and stronger. And Hayeshuv HaChadash, the new Yeshuv, the young Zionists, all they're doing that, mitgabrim baruach shel cholei chulin, they're really getting strong in all the spirit of everything in the profane everyday world. They don't even know where this is coming from for them, but what's happening is through them is coming koach poel nifla kazeh, this wondrous act of power that hakolea kol kach el matara she'it kodesh kedoshim, that is so much on the mark to the Holy of Holies. The ones that are the irreligious building Israel.
Yeah, the amazing spirit of the kibbutzim as they were growing.
All of that, that's what he's referring to.
Spirit.
The haruach hama'asi, their spirit of action, holech v'mitpashet, and it's going and spreading. And now the last part of this piece, he says like this. Oh no, it's in this page. So ata, now, in the piece right above it, as it continues, he's saying that this process kirat otu sheba hazman, it's a sign that's coming that the koach, the spreading power, tzarich lashuv velechadesh et tzurato atzmit. It needs ultimately to return and renew its essential form, its essential being, to reach the true Israelite being, ultimately. And, as it does that, it'll get stronger. And here's the pieces I underline. Ata, therefore, mima'amakim, from the depths, yishav Israel et kocho. Israel will draw its power, mima'amakei hakodesh, from the depths of holiness, asher sham hagvura v'sham hatiferet, where from there is the source of gevura, power, tiferet, beauty, umitoch hamachashchim, and from all the darknesses, yavo or geula, will come the light of geula, lehigalot, to be revealed, lehofia, al kol haneshamot hamuchsharot, on all the souls that are the talented souls, so that liot oskot, so that they'll be engaged mikarov umirachok, the able souls that will be engaged because of this light of Geula. It will bring all these souls to develop their skills to be engaged mikarov umirachok, from close and from far, ba'aretz u'bagola, in the land or in the diaspora. They'll be involved in using their skills to lahakshamat hayeshua v'hofa'otea, to manifest the Yeshua, to bring it forth mekor hakodesh, from its holy source. Hadash mamash mechadesh. Umechadesh mamash michadesh mimeretz kafur, will renew with a double power, and therefore here's his advice to us. Hinenu chayavim ke'et leitaged kulo. Therefore, we're obligated now to join together, all of us, kulanu, kol klal Israel kulo, the entire collective of Israel, be'ein yotze mihaklal, with no exceptions, la'asok, to be engaged, begvura rabbah, with great heroism, great strength, uberuach nachon, and with the proper spirit. Not a spirit of competition, and it's the proper spirit between all the parts of Israel. And this part is maybe where we're having trouble, because we're in such conflicted, there's so much, because of the particular conflicts that we have right now. But anyways, it's very painful to see, because this is not Ruach Nachon, what we're seeing in a lot of Israel lately with this. With the proper spirit, bebinyan, in building Artzenu Hakdosha, in building our holy land, beharchavat kochotenu alea, and in expanding our power upon it, that we'll have more and more of it as we get more and more power over it. We had a little bit, and we have to join together in order to be able to expand or get more power over Israel. B'geulat admata, by redeeming its land from the, all that stuff, redeeming the land. They bought it. The first ones, they bought it at very good prices. Behapfriyata, in being engaged in its bringing about its fruitfulness. The word friyat is the word fruit. Bahafrayat, in fruiting it. V'siksug tifarta, and really, siksug is it's like the growth of its beauty and splendor. Ubechidush, and by renewing, hitlahavut hakdosha, our holy enthusiasm, inflamed enthusiasm, leromem betocha, to elevate within it, within the land of Israel, et keren Israel, the crown of Israel, lekol arachim kulam, to all levels of it, haruchaniim v'achomriim, the spiritual levels, areas, groups, v'achomriim, and the material parts, and bekol hamiktzot, in all its activities. And once we do that, we'll have, that's what we need to do in order to bring about Acharit Hayamim. And I want to end with a short piece from there, and I want to end with, I would actually today like to end with a particular poem that matches what he's been saying. But the introduction to it is this piece, which he said again in Orot. He wrote this again it appeared in Orot Atchiyah, so it appeared in 1920. It was probably written in Yafo around 1910. He says, Ke'et, now, be'acharit hayamim, in these end of days, shekvar hechelu liharot et nitznohem, as they have already begun to show their sproutings, kol hachayel, asher naga Elohim belibam, all the strong ones that God has touched their hearts. Kruim, they are called, ve'omdimhem, and they are standing up, they are rising, le'orer hamon machshavot, to awaken multitudes of thought, ve'hofaot, and manifestations and visions, to bring forth high-level thought and manifestations from where? Mihasfirot ha'elyonot, from the highest sfirot, mimekor Israel, from the source of Israel. He's saying that it is now time, that Acharit Hayamim, that those in Israel who have been touched by Elohim, they must call forth and awaken Israel, and from what they're bringing from the highest sfirot that are very much from the source of Israel, the Holy One. And I think in this particular poem, he's giving expression to that. Because what he's saying is the holy ones have to give forth the inspiration for people of what they bring forth, this higher vision to the nation. And here, he's describing it poetically. And he wrote this in the Yafo notebook. And it could have even been before 1910. It might have been like somewhere between 1904 and 1910. And with your permission, and as I say always, I'm drawn to Rav Kook's poetry because when he was in his most highest states, he expressed it poetically. He just couldn't help it. It wasn't like he sat down to write poetry, but it came out in this way. So here he's speaking about a message that he got from the higher spheres. Ma'olam rachok male neguhot.
Please make it bigger.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wait, I think, hold on. Hold on.
It's okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I can't. Although, no, I'm trying to. If I move this over, then I can make it bigger. All right. Me'olam rachok. From a distant world. Me'olam rachok male neguhot. Shmashot sham rechavot kayam. Ve'kochavim ke'or shimshenu. Al pnei rakia, even sapir, sham. From a distant world full of illumination. The suns there are as broad as the ocean, and the stars are like the light of our sun on the face of the sapphire stone. There. Besorot li yagiu kitlalim le'im tzuf panag, nihaluni le'eden ne'elam, sham, chevyon ha'eden. The news reaches me like dew full of the delight of heaven, guiding me to the hidden Eden. There the treasure is stored. Sham chevyon ha'oneg. Kol panim sham alizim, v'chol pei yashir shirei tehila, niskavot yachush kol lev, v'chol raglaim mefazazot begila. All the faces there are joyful. Every mouth is singing songs of praise. The highest feelings fill each heart, and all the legs are dancing in jubilation. Avar ve'atid kesefer nigla, ein satum, hakol yadua, kol nefesh mle'a, ahava lakol, v'chushim la'alafim. Ve'or zarua. The past and the future are scrolled into one. Nothing is hidden. Everything is known. Every soul is full of love for all, feelings for the multitudes. And the light is sown. Ve'or zarua. Kol avarim shotfim kinchalim, ve'toar, ve'zoar, ve'gvura, ve'or, ve'chaim ra'ananim, וחופש ודרור ממולאים בכל היגיון ומפעלים. All the pasts flow like rivers, purity, illumination, strength and light, life renewed, freedom and liberation fills all our thoughts and activities. ובאין מורה ומדריך, שופט ושר, הכל טוב, הכל בהיר, ein ivut, ein ikum, hakol yashar, ve'layla kiyom ya'ir. And without teachers, guides, judges, or politicians, everything is good, everything is clear. There is no crookedness or corruption. Everything is with integrity, and the night shines like the day. לעולם זה נפשי שואפת. חיים כאלה רוחי מרחפת. It is to a world such as this that my soul longs, aspires for, and in life such as this, my spirit soars. לעולם זה נפשי שואפת. חיים כאלה רוחי מרחפת. So I want to really bless us that we're able to live, to bring about a world where all the faces there are joyful and every mouth singing songs of praise, and the highest feelings fill each heart, and all our legs are dancing in jubilation, and every soul is full of love for all, feelings for everyone, and Or Zarua, and the light is truly sown, and we won't need teachers, guides, judges, or politicians, especially politicians. We'll just naturally have a world with everything is good, everything is clear, without any crookedness or corruption, everything with integrity in the night, the or Yom the Laila Kiyom Yair, and the night will shine like the day. May we be blessed that b'miherav yameinu b'chaim ke'ele ruchenu yerachfu. In life such as this, our spirits will soar all together and really experience the fullness that the Creator is ready to give to us when we create the conditions to deserve it and experience it, and it's in our hands. The Torah is really a guide for us to be able to bring this about. So may Israel be successful in all its battles, physically and spiritually, to conquer all our enemies and destroy all the Amaleks and all the inner Amaleks, and return everyone that's been wounded, and heal everybody wounded, comfort the mourners, and the elevation of the souls, mamash aliyat nishmatam, and that we should really merit b'schut avot, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov Avinu, the schut avot, to experience the full, and we will be. That's the beautiful thing about this. It's not all but the point is to make it happen right away. We've suffered enough. B'mehera yomeinu, please Hashem Elokeinu, help us and all the good people in the world. V'nomar.
Amen. Amen.
Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom, Holy Chevra.
You say
Yes.
the realist?
Is Rav Kook a realist?
He's an idealist, and
No, but he also saw, he was a realist in the sense that he could very much speak about what are the things that we'll do that are going to delay it. It's not like he's saying, he really describes the mistakes we can possibly make and that we've been making.
But he knew human nature.
And he had a real understanding, and he also understood the challenge of the transformation from exile to Israel, and just what that required, and it's a process.
And he also modeled so much that the ideal, like he didn't do it intentionally, I'm sure, but he modeled with his integrity and his outspokenness about his private views, like to a nation that very rarely you see that kind of honesty in the world, especially with people who are involved with politicians and systems, and we can do that as small people, but when big people do it, it's so powerful.
Yeah, and we learn an awful lot by reading and learning his public statements to all of Israel. There's huge guidance there.
He's also encouraging us to find our innate divine nature.
I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Israelization. Yay, hooray, may we please Israelize immediately. So Rabbi Joe, let's talk politics. Anything good happening?
Shut the video.
I can't. YouTube, they don't mind.
Oh, okay.
I know it's just about bemoaning our state of the people. We may be in the period of the war after the war, where the post-war needs are emerging as the most critical: mental health, taking care of the psuim, but I think it's really wrong and erroneous, and we should not get sucked into popular media that claims that we're disunited. Do we are, I think, as united as we've ever been.
Are there leaders in Israel that can bring these factions together that aren't they don't have to be voted in, so they're not like kowtowing?
The factions do what the factions always do. They scream, they yell, they threaten, you know, they take you to court, they're gonna, you know, bring down the mountain on you. There's always machlokas, you know.
Yeah, but I don't see the leaders embodying that kind of like, okay, like Rav Kook, you know, let's talk. We can agree. We can disagree. We can disagree vehemently, but let's just sit down and talk and show the people that it can be done.
You know,
You know.
there's elections coming, so everybody is the parties are bound to be divisive. But at least,
But Rabbi Joe, you're referring to the unity of all the people that are pulling together, keeping this country
Yes,
alive, and the wars and all the families and all the people that are actually
more
doing
than
everything.
that. It's more than that. First of all, we are a united country. Nobody will argue against you that defense isn't our most critical concern. Okay, nobody will argue that factor. We are united.
right, it's not a matter of left or right, is it? That's a matter of bitachon.
Yeah, and that thing, people are just doing whatever we need to do.
And all the other noise is just that. It's just you know, it's a part of the culture. You know, you don't see you know what I'm saying, Nachum? It's like this is the Middle East. This is the way they talk. You know, this is what they do. They, you know, but ultimately we can't argue. There's certain things that we can't argue, fundamental things that we agree on, and that's why we're extraordinary. That's why we have the strength that we have. You know.
I mean,
And,
I see there's like, we're not killing each other like some of the other groups who have that in other countries.
Well,
But when I was in Israel and I
But
saw
it's
what
even
was
more than that. People are giving their lives for each other's lives.
Yeah,
People
I
are giving up their lives for each other.
I understand, but you're talking about post-war. Like, okay, now we get the post-war, that the birthing pains of unity have to come from a different place. You know, war can bring people together like they did in America, World War II, you know, amazing unity. And then you had the civil rights era, you know. So basically, how do we create that unity even when we're challenged and you know, like
well, you know,
that post-war, like what do you like
Yeah.
everybody says, what's the morning after? You know, what's the morning after?
So, in my opinion, it's all about our experience,
Mm-hmm.
who we are,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll continue to be. And about the political aspect of it, it's never been better.
Mm-hmm.
It's really never been better.
Which aspects of it?
The most important aspect of it, the aspect of Israel-America relationship. You know, it's not like you know, Obama and Bibi or
Right.
Yeah, no, that's
Biden
all.
and
It's
Bibi.
true.
It's very
true.
different.
It's true.
Very
You know,
different.
what was
You gotta
amazing?
pray that Madamis don't emerge. There's more and more of them coming out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I mean, Rav Kook says Yad Hashem is moving things ultimately, and
are we amongst friends? Are we turned off all the other?
No, he didn't turn off.
You know, just I'll tell you that in the defense community, the Jewish defense community sees that Europe is finished.
Right.
They actually, you know, I hate to say bad things, but it seems as though they've given up on Europe. It's, you know, it's more of a very defensive stance. But America, but if we lose America, we're really in deep shit. Pardon me.
And it's turning. That's the scary part, is that we have to turn it around and get back, because the Seattle mayor is a pro, you know, anti-Zion. I mean, like Mandami, look, the largest American city in the world is now, you know, headed by somebody who will not condemn terrorism. I mean, we don't want to see it turn around, and let's pray that this isn't a domino effect.
If he's really from the dark side, and the forces of darkness, then he won't win. He won't succeed. It's as simple as that. You have to produce.
Please God, please God.
He's
We don't want
absolutely
we don't want Hitler not to succeed the way he didn't succeed.
Right.
You know.
All right. Anyway, I really think take less downers and
Yeah.
other kinds of medications and see how good it is, because I think we're sitting pretty. Thank God.
Please God, please
You
God.
know, the attack in that the Americans did in Nigeria was a real it was a real breakthrough, because they were attacking jihadists in Africa. I think, apart from
Yeah.
Somalia, this is the first time they've done it, and
Right.
I think it's a major move what they did. You know, because the president of Nigeria said he approved, but in general, they don't want to say that it's an Islamic problem, because 50% of the country
Right.
is Muslim and 50% is Christian. But I know I have Christian Nigerian friends who are terrified of these Al-Shabaab, or what is it's not Al-Shabaab, it's another group,
It's
Boko Haram,
Boko Haram.
and ISIS there. And it's amazing that America intervened there. I hope
Sorry.
it's a good.
Last Shabbos, we had our Nigerian doctor friend who I adopted. He's my daughter's age, and I've known him for 18 years. I used to work for him. He had an online university of medical professionals. I used to be one of his speakers. So he lived with us for a year. So we really got to know him. And he runs a clinic in Nigeria, and his family is involved in politics and, very erudite. He's a doctor. And he said he loves Israel, first of all. He's Christian. And he says that, he says, just like, I said, how do you feel? Is your family scared? He's got a huge family in Nigeria. And he says, they're not scared because it's in one little section of Nigeria. Nigeria is a big country. And I'm like, now, he says, but Israel can't afford what Nigeria can afford. He says, so it's good. He's happy the Americans are intervening. I don't know how he feels about outside. He wishes his government had more strength, and backbone. But he says it's all corrupt. Everything you have to, in that society, everything is corrupt. They could play with the devil.
But at least Netanyahu, when he's in America, he
Yeah.
made a big thing about that. We have to protect Christians as well.
Right.
Because this Islamic threat is a worldwide threat that needs to be beaten. It's not just a Middle East problem.
Right.
Right. And I think that's why it's very important that it was highlighted that we are supporting the defense of Christians.
Right. It is a small, hoodies, I think, are,
the part of the real scam of the media is that they never deemed it to be important enough until the Christian broadcasting people started to advertise the fact that Christians were being killed in droves, and that the actual real ethnic cleansing was taking place of Christians in Africa.
Right.
It's not just Nigeria.
Right.
In the Congo.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. I
Yeah.
was in Ethiopia like 10 years ago, and the Wahhabis were already, the Saudis were already sending money to build midrasot and mosques in places that, where Muslims were living side by side in old traditional mosques and Christian villages. But suddenly you get these Wahhabis, they come and build these massive mosques.
Right.
They're doing it right in Maryland and DC area. It's crazy.
Yeah, they were dispossessing the local Christian clergy and Islamic imams.
Mm-hmm.
So so finally maybe the world will wake up, because
it's a global issue. It's a real global issue.
Yeah.
You said give up with Europe. You can't give up with Europe. Europe has to face this.
And New South Wales and Australia is covered in mosques now with, only in the last 20 years, and it's a huge problem because the people who are funding these things are the jihadists, countries, and people have to get in bed with them because they have so much money. It's crazy.
But it's good that it's coming out because the world needs to see that Israel's enemies are the civilized world's enemies.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's good that it's coming into focus.
Yeah, the real question is, when will the Pope get off his
All right. Yeah.
get off the pot and actually say something about it?
I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to do it. He's too scared of what could happen to Christians in Muslim countries. And also, he's not that pro-Israel. And there's only a couple of popes that have been that way. It's not a traditional thought process, And I even asked my Catholic friends, because I lived in a Catholic community for years, and they were very much into reconciliation back then. And now they're silent. I was like, why are you guys silent? You don't speak up. You don't say to me, how's your daughter in Sydney? How's your daughter in Israel? No, but their silence is so deafening.
The genocide in Gaza.
Yeah, well, not just that. It's even before that, and it's at Sydney. Why aren't you asking me? I have a daughter in Sydney, and you haven't asked me like what's going on with her. I said it to them. I said I'm very disappointed. You are Catholic. You are Christians. You are religious. I wouldn't do that to an enemy. Like a person. Okay, an enemy I might not, but a colleague. Like these are friends. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, so I think the Pope is not modeling what we want, what we would think a Pope would model.
Well, should we change him?
Yeah.
Well, have they ever? I mean, that isn't
Pope
the
John,
strong point of the Pope.
Yeah, the Polish Pope, Pope John 20, John Paul, he was amazing. And he could not, he wanted to do so much more, but the politics of the Vatican kept him in reign. But I know somebody that was she was a nun, and I told you the story. She lived across the street from me. She was a nun in Poland under him when he was a cardinal, and then she came to Vatican as his translator. She's an American Jewish woman who converted, and she had to get deprogrammed when she decided to become Jewish again. But she told us stories of how courageous he was. And, the political hierarchy of the Vatican filters what goes out in public. And that's when she quit the church. She said, I saw what was going on with the politics, because he was very courageous. He wanted to reconcile totally with the Jewish people.
What is there to reconcile?
Well, there's a whole process he went through. If you read his writings, he was the one after Pope John the 23rd changed Vatican II. There still was a lot of anti-Semitism. There still was liturgy that was not exactly great, and there was a culture that he couldn't transform, although he transformed it on the Vatican II level, which is the doctrine. Okay, but Pope John Paul really wanted to get the culture of reconciliation. Get it. And I don't know if he ever visited Israel. I'm not sure. But I think that was one of his goals, was to really bring this incredibly elevated reconciliation and accountability of the church. We just love people who say you're sorry, like, please say you're sorry, admit it, and then we'll be friends with you. If you're really repentant, then, even if you're my enemy, like Nazi Germany, Germany is an ally.
That's what tshuva's all about. So
yeah. That's what he wanted.
Yeah, it's not. I've yet to hear of an organization called Catholics for Israel.
Oh, there are Catholics for Israel. Yes,
is there an organization with that sort of name?
I'll find out. I never thought about it, but I know.
It would be nice.
I was very involved in Benedictines and Franciscans, and and they were very back then. They were very Zionistic. I know nuns that worked in, you know, Judea, Samaria with the
Well,
Arabs.
it would go a long way to making up for the past by actually stating it emphatically that we are an organization of Catholics who support Israel. You know?
I'll ask, because I know, you know, I have tons and tons and tons of friends who are
You know
Catholic.
what I mean? You've got many evangelical Christians of Protestant who actually are Christian. They're happy to call themselves Christian Zionists.
Yep. Yeah, Pastor Hagee is amazing. I've gone to his seminar, you know, his conventions. He is truly extraordinary. KOOK-ye, Christians United for Israel.
That's right.
The good Reverend Hagee has a lot of koyach.
Yep. And he raises a lot of money for Israel. You know, a lot of money. He's very powerful.
You know, and he's in his mid-80s.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife is also delightful.
Really,
They're good people, and they like Ethiopian Jews.
have you met him, Joe?
No, we had dinner with him actually.
Really?
And he came to see this youth project, a youth at risk project.
Wonderful.
We run, and he really wanted to meet Ethiopian Olim Chadashim.
Wow.
Brought a couple of real superstars, young women who are like going into medicine and graduating from these youth at risk programs, and the other one going to become an officer in the army. And he was really very pleased to meet them and see, you know, he was saying, this is the real Israel. So I come here. It's like he was saying, I come here to get some chizuk.
Right. Yeah, he said to thousands of people at the thing I was at, if anybody proselytizes any of our Jewish friends in this conference, and there were like thousands of people there, it was in the DC Convention Center, he says, you will be asked to leave. This is not our goal here. I don't know what you do when you get out of here, but if you're in my presence and you're in my, or, you know, in my convention, if I hear that you do that, you'll be asked to leave.
Good for him. He gave a great speech at the opening of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem.
Right.
Who are we talking about?
Pastor Hagee.
He's actually a very personable kind of a guy. You know, he's a guy you can kibitz with. So that's the human part of him. Otherwise, he's really a superstar.
Yeah.
In that, you know, in that, I guess you call them fundamentalist Christians.
Yeah. How about Mike Evans? Have you come across him?
Yes. Mike Evans has a television company. His broadcasting company could be as big as, you know, some of the major players around.
What's it called?
Extensive. I don't remember anymore. He's a
you know he's halakhically Jewish.
Is he really? No,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
His mother was Jewish.
Well, I don't know what his genetic issues are, but I'll tell you, he came very strongly, came out here and made some very strong statements about using his television stations to promote some truth about Israel. And
I heard that he was very pro-Israel, and then he discovered that his mother was Jewish. He didn't know it. Amazing.
That's wild.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Anyway, listen, guys, things are good. Baruch Hashem.
Lovely to hear.
Baruch Hashem.
No, we've been here before, and we continue to exist, survive. Bezrat Hashem, nenatziach gam this time.
Amen.
Oh, it says on here.
Amen.
Yeah, it says his mother was a immigrant from the Soviet Union.
Wow.
And his father was horrible, an abuser.
Well, he is a charismatic, a real charismatic. And now when you tell me that he's Jewish, it makes
and he's a good
sense.
friend of Trump as well, I think.
Yeah.
Well, all those early Christians are, by the way, they constitute somewhere around 50 million, you know, people.
Yeah, I know. There's a prayer group for Jerusalem. I think it had 70 million subscribers.
Wow. Oh, wow.
What I would hope would happen, especially if people get the word about what's going on in Africa,
It's called the Christian. Oh, I'm sorry.
I would start with the most latest thing and get the word out there that I don't know, somewhere between 200,000, 250,000 people died as a result of the Somaliland, of the Somalis.
Yes.
I don't mean the democratically elected one, but the other
Somalia,
the other
yeah.
one. They
And
killed a
you
lot of
don't hear a
people in
word
their
about it
path.
in the media.
Talked a lot. They killed a lot of people. I told you the other day that the guy who led the carnage, this major officer, was the father of the Congresswoman
Ilan Omar,
Omar. Yes, that's her father.
amazing.
So you know, it's a small world after all.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys read his bio, what he's done. I mean, really unusual pro-Zionist stuff. I mean, it's amazing.
Mike's a great guy.
Wow.
He does a
I'm
lot.
just reading, I'm looking at this going, whoa, this one man did all this? Oh my gosh.
He's very
And
powerful.
his network is Christians Broadcast Network. I don't know if it's his network, but he writes articles and speaks for them.
Oh, CBN, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It
It's
doesn't
his.
say he owns it. It doesn't say it's his, but anyway.
Well, it is his.
It is his. And
Yeah.
he's very involved in the Christian Zionist movement in Israel and also the Holocaust, bringing Holocaust awareness.
I think these people realize that to be real friends of Israel, you can't be a Christian here and be doing outreach. You're here to help Israel
Mm-hmm.
and not to try to convert the Jews.
Right.
Somewhere
Right.
along the line, they got that through their head.
There's still many who do that proselytizing in Israel. There still are many.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
the Mormons have to. They have to. The Mormons are like powerful in Israel, and they have to. That's part of their outreach.
Look, let's put it this way: you could not get a large crowd of people in that circumstance to gather in Jerusalem or in Eretz Israel, anywhere. So,
really,
however few people they reach, you got to be really misguided to follow.
There's an organization called King of Kings that is really dodgy, and even the Christian Embassy, who say that they do not proselytize, their leader is what it actually comes from King of Kings. So
where is that in Britain or
the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem?
Oh, wow.
Their leader, he originally came from the organization King of Kings, and there's a wonderful woman who was a counselor in a Jerusalem counselor, Mina. Do you know who I mean? Mina, what's her name? Can't remember, but she's very much very protective about the Christian proselytizing in Jerusalem. There is a lot of it going on, which we need to be aware of. We don't need that.
I'll tell you, they can't get away with it. That's the way I see it. They often enough they get exposed. There were people parading around as Jews a couple of years ago, and they worked their way into the synagogue.
My son-in-law was rabbi of a synagogue in Omaha, Nebraska for 10 years, and my daughter was the Rebbitzin. And there was a couple there that were really strange and really involved in the Jewish organization. She's a very suspicious person, sometimes overly. And so she started researching them. And it turns out they were infiltrators from the Mormon church, not an organized Mormon church, but the whole family, they made up a story that they were grandchildren of Holocaust survivors. They had lineage, they have everything. She actually did like a private investigator kind of thing on her own time and expose them. And they had to get out of town in the middle of the night because the Jewish community every part of the Jewish community had helped them. And then they were hosting Shabbases and they were trying to convert people at these Shabbases. And, you know, in Omaha, Nebraska, you're not really around a lot of people who are knowledgeable. So it was really scary. And she did it. You know, I said, you should be working for some organization to deprogram people.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I that'd be my last concern, my last worry. Really.
What?
They couldn't survive here. Proselytizers.
Right.
So the Mormon university there, the big one, is not they don't do any proselytizing.
Maybe they practice a little bit, but they
Yeah. Because aren't they on Mount Scopus or something? Or
this is a open society.
Yeah.
We have a Christ Church or whatever they call it, Hebrew Christian Church, right in Rehavia.
I stayed across the street, right by
Right.
the president's house. There's a convent.
Years ago, they threw things at them. You know, so what? They're not what's the word? They're not
They're not stirring the pot.
They're not aggressive. You know, they
Yeah.
have people that a few believers and
Right.
those again, you know.
Baruch
whatever-
Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
Live and let live. Anyway, we have bigger things to worry about.
Right.
Yeah, and in America isn't, you know, we Jews used to be afraid of the Christians. There's no fear. I don't fear any Christian groups here, you know, and I don't fear most Muslim groups. I just don't know, you know, and like I wonder when I get involved with different Muslim groups, I hope they don't harbor, you know, violent hatred against me. They may not like me because I have kids in Israel, but you know, I don't know who's violent and who's weird, you know, like I don't want to. That's my only thing. And drug dealers, you know, in Baltimore, you know, we have a lot of those. But it's like the Christians are not really our threat anymore. They used to be.
No, I think they've come to understand that we're really allies.
Yeah.
Follow Western civilization, follow Western values, shared Judeo-Christian traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the reason is, you know, it looks good for now.
Right. Right. And they're not calling us Christ killers anymore. When I was a kid, I was called the Christ killer.
No, they'll let it go because we need each other.
Yeah.
We're really, I mean, if people really understand, they see the greatest significance of what our fight is here all about.
It's better to bless us than not bless us.
To understand its ramifications. Or as Shlomo Melech used to say, Gam ze yavor.
I still don't think we should be complacent about the threat. There's 2 billion Christians in the world, and there's only, you know, we're quite a small number, and we still need to be on guard for any of that going on.
Right.
That's what I feel.
Right. You're right.
You know, I was on kibbutz, and the missionaries had distributed amongst the kibbutzniks who who at that time had no Torah education. All they knew the Chumash, but nothing else. Maybe Tanakh. They did know Tanakh, and they were given these Hebrew Bibles that included the Christian stuff, but it was written in Hebrew. So to them, you know, and in their naivety, they started reading it as if it was Torah.
Well,
it was really a deceptive way of doing it.
They do that here. Like I lived in Denver, Colorado, and across the street from me was a Christian, you know, like as a Messianic Jewish, you know, synagogue, church, whatever it was, Lubavitcher Rebbe, and they were going after Russians back then. This is 1980s. And they were very successful because the guy was from Brooklyn. He spoke Yiddish. They were survivors. He and his wife were survivors. They had all the pedigree. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe told the shliach in my neighborhood, said, buy the building at all cost and get them out of the neighborhood. So they raised all this money, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe actually funded some of it, you know, and they bought the building, and then it turned into a Chabad house. I was so happy. 2 houses away from me was a Chabad house, but on Shabbos it was creepy. Like I saw all these Jews, and they were singing Jewish songs. And I knew the background of this rabbi and his wife, or, parentheses rabbi.
Right.
And no one, everybody thought they were like Brooklyn, Holocaust survivors.
There's quite a few Jewish people that have these ministries, and they're very deceptive.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's big bucks. It's very big bucks to betray their people.
Yeah. And Rabbi Twersky, Reb Mati Twersky said to them, he saw him in the airport, proselytizing, and he goes, "Your Tati is in heaven, plotting over you." And so the guy says, "Rabbi Twersky, you're gonna go to hell because you don't believe." And he goes, "If I'm going to hell, then I'll go to hell, and you'll go, like wherever I'm going, I'm happy I'm going. You're gonna go to someplace. You can call it whatever you want." But it was like, he really was scary. Like, he had people so fooled.
I don't know, Yitzhak, what do you think about the threat of Christian missionaries?
I don't know that much about it lately. I mean, I was more, when I was in North America, I did stuff with Christian groups or in churches and stuff, and like it was, but I don't know much about it per se. It's not much. Nobody comes around here to Beta Rav to try to convert me. So
I'll just tell you, on the positive side, there's been so much root, so much awakening in the last couple of years that it's amazing to see synagogues full, young people putting on tefillin, davening.
Beautiful.
Those are real tangible signs of awakenings.
Beautiful.
A lot of that to do with the war.
Wow, beautiful.
So no, I'm not worried about the proselytizers.
Good to hear.
Yeah. Although
I mean, the good news is about Torah Rav. He says we have to see everything as the divine goodness unfolding to bring about the final goodness. And that's the theme of everything that's going on. And so then we, this is how it looks like, and see how that's part of it. But that's the good news.
I don't know how the women who are wearing the burqas in Mea Sharim fit into this.
That's crazy. It's so creepy.
I don't know where they fit into all this plan, but I'd say it was an interesting mix we have here.
Yeah.
Big time.
Good Shabbos.
Good
All right,
Shabbos,
good
Shabbat
Yom Tov,
Shalom.
good
Raise the
Shabbos.
sparks.
Yeah, Rabbi Yitzhak, you're staying warm there on Shabbos?
Here, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put the heater on a timer, so I'll have it. I'll have it when I need it.
You got a storm coming your way, yeah?
Well, it's already been in part. I don't know about Jerusalem. Today was stormy in other parts.
Yeah. No, but it's cold. It's just generally cold.
It is cold.
You have a wonderful Shabbos.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
L'chaim Yerushalayim, Shabbat Shalom. Signing off. Lehitraot and Yom Rishon. Baruch Be'ezrat Hashem. Kol Tuv.